environment, and condition. They need to ensure that the goods that are produced by these private companies are what? Are good for people to consume. And that is why we look at NAFDAC now. NAFDAC are there to what? To do what? To monitor goods that are what? That have not expired. That is where government will now comes in. That is where we have Standard Organization of Nigeria, SON. So all of these are ways government can do what? Can manage the activities of what? Of private companies. So then the next one is what? The advantages. What are the advantages of what? Of capitalists? Number one is what? Optimal allocation of what? Resources. That is, producers engages what? Their resources only on goods which appear to yield maximum profit. Don't forget that as a private company, your aim is to maximize what? Profit, to make profit, Abi? So that is one of the advantage. Another one again is what? Greater output and higher income. That is, they increase their production so that they can earn more profit. Also, there is increase in efficiency. Efficiency means that there is competition. You are not the only one producing. Let's take a look at Dangote as an example. You know, do we know that we have other cement company? Let me even ask, do we know that?
Yes.
Oh yeah, mention the ones you know. Let me test.
We have Lafarge. We have
Elephant.
Elephant. Yes.
But let me now ask, what makes people patronize Dangote? What do you think? Why do you think people patronize Dangote more than other cement? Clifford, are you with us? Oh, yeah, help me to answer that question. Why do you think people patronize Dangote cement compared to other cement companies?
It can be because of the quality of the product, and also the popularity, because is the product that is mostly known among people, and almost everybody have used it and they know how good it is, so they will always recommend it to other people. So especially the popularity matters, and also the quality.
All right, thank you very much. Excellent. You've answered the question by mentioning the word quality. You know, there is a saying that they say quality attracts what? Quantity. Well, you know, one thing I've discovered from all these business people is that, you know, sometimes you don't really need to advertise your product. Do you know that? And I will tell you the reason why. Do you know why?
No.
Okay. Sometimes you don't really, I'm not saying you don't need to advertise your product, but you don't really need. And why I'm saying that is because the moment you can satisfy a customer or your consumer, that consumer derives satisfaction, optimal satisfaction from using your product. Don't forget about it. That same person will advertise you, because people know people. You want to buy cement? Go and buy Dangote. I use Dangote cement to build my house. If you see the structure of my house, it's very standard. You see this and that. Such person too will patronize Dangote, derive satisfaction, same person. So there is a saying that customer satisfaction is the key. The moment you can satisfy a customer, that same customer will advertise you. So what Dangote is, the advantage Dangote has over other products is that Dangote, I can always tell you that Dangote is not a firm. Dangote is an industry. Why? Because Dangote produces more than one product. Dangote produces cement, it produces all this spaghetti, it produces, I think, salt and other things that you can mention. And as a case study, Dangote is also into petroleum now. So it means Dangote will continue to make generational wealth. That is what makes him to be one of the highest rich person in Africa, and even in part of the world too. Because Tell me who will not build house in a day. In this country, you will definitely see one particular place where people are building house. And by doing that, they are using cement. Tell me, people will take consume spag, at least in one of particular. So if we continue making money daily, so back to our study here, increase in what? In efficiency. Also, there is progress and prosperity. That is when there is competition. Competition in the sense that it's not that they are fighting you, but when you know that if you did not do well, you're not the only one producing this particular product. So if you did not do well, people will patronize another people. So for that, you will always be looking forward how to what? How to progress, how to develop your product to satisfy people's wants. So for every advantages, there is always disadvantages. So what are the disadvantages? Emergence of what? Monopoly. Emergence of what? Monopoly. What is monopoly? Monopoly in the sense that you have people you have more than one person producing what? Similar products. That is, I'm not the only one producing rice. I have, let's say my name is Sodiq. I have Sodiq rice. I have Inenchi rice. I have Clifford rice. So which means if I fuck up or I misbehave, people can decide not to patronize me again. They start patronizing what? Inechi. If Inechi increase our price, and let's say Marvelous price now is cheap, people will move away from Inechi and start patronizing what? So there is emergence of monopoly. So because of this, it makes it difficult for people to what? To thrive well. Unlike when you have only one producer, you feel like you are the king. Anything you do is what you do. But this one, there is monopoly. There is also inequality problem. Inequality problem is what? That is, the rich who own resources and controlled production are favored, while the poor become more poor. So that is inequality problem. Then there is inefficient production. There is inefficient production. So there is inefficient production. So more resources are allocated to the production of what? Of goods that are desired by rich who have the means, while the basic necessity required by the poor. So another one again is economic depression and unemployment. So there is what? Excessive competition and unplanned production. Please give me a few minutes. I'll be back. I'll be back in a few minutes. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay, a few minutes. Okay, sorry, we can continue now? Sorry, I have to quickly attend to something. So let's move on to the socialist economic. So Nietzsche have also explained that. She said socialist economic is an economic system whereby the means of production and distribution of goods and services are managed, are controlled by what? By the government. So what are the features? The first features is public ownership. There is public what? Ownership. That is, means of production are owned and controlled by the government. Then we also have public allocation and distribution. So that is, prices of goods and services are fixed by the government. That is, government fix the price of goods. Government regulates the price of goods under socialist economy. So what are the advantages? So one of the advantages is where there is greater economic efficiency. There is greater economic efficiency. That is, the government ensures that resources are allocated. Resources are what? They are allocated to those sectors where they can be used most productively. So government ensure that they allocate what? Resources to sectors where they can be used productively. And what are the sectors that we have? We have agricultural sector, we have the education sector, and we also have the health sector. So government ensure that they allocate resources to all these sectors, so where they can provide essential services to the public, to the people. So there is also another advantage, absence of wasteful competition. So under government, there is little what competition. That is, there is no need for you to start advertising this and that. So because government are very closer to the people, and by them being closer to the people, they'll be able to provide those essential services for them. Then there is also inequality, less inequality of income. There is less inequality of income. So that is, every member of the society is taking, that is, government prioritize people. They prioritize people welfare. They ensure that they provide essential services like good transportation, good health, free education, and the likes for the public, for the people. Then there is also absence of exploitation of private monopoly. That is, state monopoly exists only to promote overall economic well-being of the people. That is, there is also monopoly in government. And what is the monopoly there is that we have different states. Let's take Nigeria as a case study now. We have about 36 states in Nigeria. So if Lagos State, for example, is rendering a particular services, Ogun State will look at it that, Lagos State is doing this. And so how can they also imitate Lagos State? How can they also be doing the same thing Lagos State is doing? Rivers State will also look at it. And if Lagos State can do this, they too can do it. So all of this is not because they are doing competition. They are all fighting towards the same goal. And what is the goal? To provide and to promote economic well-being of the what? Of their people that they are serving. So what are the disadvantages that exist under socialist? So there is misallocation of what? Resources. So resources allocation is based on trial and error and selfish interest of the ruling class, leading to underproduction of goods required by the poor majority. Then there's also loss of consumer sovereignty. Consumers are restricted to only goods and services dictated for production. That is, government will only produce goods that they believe is good for the people. Unlike under private, where private, they can decide to have freedom of what? Choice. But under government, there is no freedom of choice. It is whatever the government does that they does. Is that taken? It is whatever the government does that they do. So there is also no freedom of enterprise. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, before we proceed, do we have any question before we proceed? Clifford. Clifford, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, we said before we proceed, do you have any question?
No, no.
Okay, so what I was saying is we are discussing about the disadvantages of socialist economy. So we said, we've mentioned some, so we are continuing by saying no freedom of enterprise. That is, every person is employed by the government, and there is tendency for underemployment, misallocation of human resources. So there is also waste of resources. there is waste of resources. So central planning requires large bureaucratic structure, which results in waste resources. Now, what they mean by this is that let's look at waste management authority like Loma now. You know, sometimes they follow instruction given to them by the government, whereby government can only see little. So that is why government hire them as an agency to manage waste. So, and they follow instruction given to them by the government. So the government cannot see everything. So government will only act upon what they told, what they report to the government. So, and there are some places whereby there is lack of improper waste management. So by doing that, it's going to affect the people in such particular vicinity of such particular environment. So there's also poor quality product. Why? Because there is no competition. There is no competition. And when there is no competition, that is, they believe they can do anything they like. That is, nobody is going to what? To question them. So by this, it weakens the drive for producers to improve the quality of their product. Because when there is no competition, you feel like it is whatever you do, people did not have choice than to buy it. People did not have choice than to buy your product. But when there is competition, so you believe if this one did not do well, you move to another person and patronize another person. But in government, it's not like that. It's not like that. So then we also have mixed economy. So of which Nietzsche just explained to us that it is a economic system whereby means of production, distribution are being what? Managed and controlled by both the capitalists and socialists. So what are the advantages? The advantages is that there is best allocation of resources. Best allocation of what? Resources. Why is there best allocation? Because both the private and government, they are what? They are combined together. So there is best allocation of resources. There is a saying that two good heads are better than one. So when the two economic systems combine together, there's going to be more adequacy. Then there is also general balance. There is general balance. So that is the competition and cooperation between the public sector and the private sector favors the realization of a high rate of capital accumulation. So then welfare state, that is in mixed economy, there is no exploitation. So government has freedom to do what they want to do. Private firms also have the freedom, though there is regulation by government, but there is still what we call freedom of choice. People can choose to patronize either the government or the private firms. So, and again, there is always a common goal. And what is the common goal is that to provide what? Goods that are of best quality, service that are of best quality to the public. So then we also have disadvantages. We have disadvantages. So what are disadvantages that we have under mixed economy? There is non-cooperation between private and the public sector. There is inefficient public sector. There is economic fluctuations. So there's economic fluctuations. So all of these are what we classify as disadvantages of mixed economy. Then we also have what are the functions of economic system. So economic system that is both the capitalist, socialist, and mixed economy. So what are their functions? What are their functions? So one of the functions is that every economic system performs the following functions. Number one, there is allocation of resources. Allocation of resources. There is also organization of production. There is distribution of goods and services. There is economic growth and development. Then there is economic stability. There is economic stability. All of these are all classified as functions of an economic system. So before we move on to the next slide, so we are rounding up already. So let me take your question. Is there any question? Hello, do we have any question?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
So, can are there countries, or are there still countries that have these economic systems like the capitalist or socialist or mixed, like examples of countries that have it?
Okay. Thank you. Now I'm going to start that with a practical answer. Let's look at the country that we are, Nigeria. So Nigeria as a country, we practice capitalist, we practice socialist, and we practice mixed economy. Now, why do I say we practice capitalist? Look at Dangote, for example now. Dangote, is it a private or a government?
It is private.
Elephant Cement, is it private or government?
Private.
Lafarge, Lafarge is private, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, that is, they produce similar products. That is, there is monopoly. It means that there is what? There is monopoly means there is competition. Abi? So that is an example of capitalist. If you look at Dangote now, the price Dangote sells cement is also similar to the price Elephant and Lafarge sells their cement. Yes or no? That is
Yes.
what, yes, that is what we classify as price ceiling. What is price ceiling? Price ceiling means the maximum price that government can set, that people can sell their product. You must not sell beyond that price. But if you choose to sell below, there's no problem. That is where government now regulates the price. Is that not so? That is capitalist. When it comes to socialist, there are some service that it is only government that render it. Yes or no? For, for example, let's look at tax. Who is collecting tax?
The government.
Why are they collecting it? Why are they collecting it? Why do government collect tax? Why? You don't know?
They collect it as a way of generating revenue for the.
Yes. Government is taxation is one of the sources of what? Revenue for the government. And when they collect those revenue, what are they using those revenues to do? To provide what? Essential services for the public, right? So that is an example, another answer. So it means Nigeria is practicing both capitalist and we also practice socialist. That is, there are some activities that are only performed by the government. So when we now talk of mixed economy, Nigeria also practice that too. That is, there are some production that are being done by both the private and the what? And the government too. And examples of such is what? Look at, let me give you just one example. Look at petroleum now. You know that it's not only Dangote petrol that we use in Nigeria. We also have some other exports, right?
Yes.
So that alone is a good example That is, Dangote is a private individual, but he's providing what? Petrol, right? Petroleum for people patronizing. Whereby we also have NNPC, right? Which is being regulated by what? By the government, right? So we can talk of countries like Germany. When we want to talk about countries, other countries of the world, you can talk of Germany, you can talk of Russia, we can talk of Ethiopia. So you can talk of even US, United States. So all of these are many mentioned, but few countries that practices mixed economy. They practice capitalist and they also practice socialist. So have I answered your question?
Yes, you have. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So let's proceed. How about Clifford? Do you have any question before we proceed?
My own question is, I know that the three of them have their own advantage and disadvantage, but is there like the one that is the best out of the three?
Yes, thank you very much. I love that question. The best, before I even answer, based on the features that we have mentioned, let me push it to Nichi. So if she is not correct, I will now come in. Nichi, from those three, looking at the three features, so which one do you think is the best based on the features that we've looked at, the advantages and disadvantages that we have looked at?
Okay, I think it's the mixed economy that's the
Excellent,
best.
excellent. That is exactly the answer. Because the reason why the mix is the best, because it gives room for both the private and the what? And the government. And like I said, that two goods heads are better than what? And better than one. So in a system whereby both the government and the private individuals, they manage the activities, there is more efficiency, there is more effectiveness in the management of what? Economic what? Activities. Clifford, do you get that? So the best is the mixed economy.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So let's move on so that we can be moving towards, because we are having another class, I think by 10:30. Right? Am I right? Okay.
No, I think it's by one.
By one. Okay. So we have, what are the methodology of economics? In economics, we also have what we classify as what? Methodology. We have methodology of economics. So the methodology of economics, we have the scientific method. We have the scientific method. So scientific method, that is, economics adopt scientific method in their investigations. So, and I want to believe during our secondary school days, whereby we did biology, so we have, if we want to perform an experiment. Are you with me?
Yes, yes.
So if you want to perform an experiment, you remember those step. What is step one? Let me see if you can still remember your biology days. Oh yeah,
I can't
oh yeah,
remember.
you can't remember. The first one is observation. Shall you remember now?
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Observation followed by what?
Test, observation, test,
Test
and
of observation,
observation.
hypothesis,
Yes.
formulation. You remember?
Yeah, I
And the
remember.
last one is what? You now perform the experiment. Then you now come up with what we call conclusion. So you remember now? You need to remember your biology too. So because you may need the knowledge. So all these are steps for performing what? An experiment. So so under the scientific method now, that is, economists also use this scientific method, this same method I just mentioned now, observation and everything. Economists also adopt it in their investigation of economic problems and economic what? Relationship. And in this method, problems are identified and defined. Information relevant to the problem are collected, organized, and analyzed, leading to what? Leading to the establishment of an economic theory. Leading to establishment of an economic theory. So that is, economics also make use of scientific method. So it is not only biology or students that make use of scientific method. So as an economist, you should be able to what? To observe. What did I just say now? As an economist, you should be able to observe. And you don't just observe. The same steps that I mentioned when I was asking you about biology, the same steps applies when it comes to economics too. That is why we said economics approach is also adopted when making what? Investigation. So that is for the scientific method. Then we also have the inductive method. The inductive method is a process of reasoning that moves from specific observations to broader generalization or theories. That is, in economics, this method that we classify as inductive method involves collecting real-world data, observing economic behavior, and then formulating what? Economic law or theory based on these what? Observations. So you can see that it is the same thing as what I just mentioned. So when you are using the inductive method or inductive approach, so what you need there is that you observe. So when you observe, you'll be able to form what we call what? Theory. You'll be able to formulate theories. You'll be able to formulate economic laws. So you'll be able to formulate economic laws. So that is for inductive method. Then we also have deductive method. So what is deductive method? The deductive method involves reasoning from general principles to specific conclusion. That is, from generalizing it, you now be able to pick out your own thoughts, your own principles from it, and you now be able to formulate a conclusion. That is, when you observe, from your observation, you'll be able to come up with a specific conclusions. That is the deductive method. Then we now have economic theory and model. An economic theory referred to as economic law, economic principle, or economic model, which helps to explain human economic behavior, especially production, distribution, exchange, and consumption, as well as to predict the likely cause of future events. So an economic theory is developed around one or more assumptions. And the usefulness of any theory to particular problem situation depends on how realistic the given assumptions are. Now, let me explain this. When we talk about economic theory, for example, if you remember during your secondary school days in economics, we have theory of consumer behavior, theory of demand and supply. If you remember all of this, so all of these are what we refer to as what? They want to study economic behaviors. of people, of individual. That is, how do you react to production? How do you react to distribution? How do you react to exchange and consumption? And how can you predict what is likely to occur in future? Let me give you a practical example. Let's take theory of demand. Remember that there is one of the law of demand that says that, oh yeah, what is the law of demand? Let me not even say it. Let me allow you to, let me see if you can still remember. Are you there? Hello? Are you there?
Yes.
So I said under this theory that I'm explaining now. So I said we have theory of demand, theory of consumer behavior. So and I said for you to be able to understand economic theory. So because in under economic theory, you should be able to predict what is likely to occur in future events. And I said there is a under economic theory, we have what we call theory of demand and supply. So I'm not saying that one of the assumption of theory of demand, I'm not asking that you should tell me what is the law of demand.
Okay.
I'm with you.
The the law of demand states that the quantity of goods and services demanded is inversely proportional to its price when other factors are remain constant.
I add constant. Okay. Okay. In other words, Ngo, you've answered the question well, oh. That's 100%. But I want you to look at it in another simple dimension.
Okay. If the quantity of goods demanded increases, will increase, sorry, if the price of the if the price falls. Quantity will increase if the price
Okay.
falls and
Okay.
price rises.
Okay. So that is the higher the price, the lower the quantity that will be demanded. All right. How about supply? Clifford, help us. What does the law of supply state? Hello, Clifford, are you there? I don't think Clifford is there. Okay, Nenchi, what is the law of supply? Or I should help you?
Please help us. Thank you.
All right. So law of supply state that the higher the price, the higher the quantity of goods that will be demanded, and the lower the price, the lower the quantity of goods that will be demanded, other things being equal, that is, other factors of supply. Edward constant. So what law of supply state is that, law of supply is applying to the supplier, that is people that produces goods. And your own joy, your own happiness as a supplier is that price should do what? Should continue to what? To increase. So the more the price continue to increase, the more your supply to will do what? Will increase. But the more the price begin to fall, your supply to will do what? Will fall. That is for law of supply. But for demand, demand is for the consumer. So if the price increases, people will reduce their demand. But if the price reduces, people will increase their what? Demand. That is for demand. So why I'm applying this, why I'm relating this to this economic theory is that so you'll be able to predict what is likely cause of future events when you want to make a decision. For example, let's look at rice now. If you look at the price of rice now, you can easily say that maybe in 1 month's time now, what will happen? There's possibility that the price will increase. Why? Maybe because of Muslims that want to fast and everything like that. So you can easily predict. And by the price increasing, it means the demand will do what? Will fall. So all of these are what you need to understand under economic theory. Then in our last slide, we also have economic model. Economic model is merely a theoretical framework that represents complex economic process through a set of what? Variables and a set of logical or quantitative relationship between them based on set of analytical what? Assumption adopted. So when we're talking about economic model, we're talking about analytical what? Framework, which is only a skeletal of an actual representation of the economy. So for example, now in economics, we have Keynesian theories, we have the Keynesian model, we have the neoclassical model of income determination. So economic model is just like a way of presenting or analyzing what? An information. It's a way of what? Analyzing information based on some assumptions, based on what? Some theories, based on assumption, based on theory. So it is not really factual. It is based on what? Theories. So then we also have words, graph, and equation. So in economics, we normally use what? Language. What are the language that we use in economics? We use word, we use graphs, and we also use what? Equation. So when we use word, that is, those are what? They are verbal. When we use graph, so verbal statement, the use of words is often the easiest way to presentation. It has the advantage of making discussions in economics available to a wide audience. Then when we talk about graphs, because of their visual appeal, graphs are used as further aid to understanding economic discussions. Moreover, graphs provide a clear picture of the relationship between two economic variables. So graph is used to what? To show relationship between two economic variables. And then we talk about equation, complex relationship. When we have more than 3 or more variables, we make use of what? Equation. Example, the one we talk about, we have the simultaneous equation, we have a quadratic equation. All of these are what we use to discover if you are finding a variable. Let's say there are more than 2 or 2 or more variables. So that is what we use to simplify it, to make use of equations. So all of these are still what we are going to still look at in our consequent chapters or our prospective chapters. So we are going to look at it. So this chapter 1 is just an introduction to what economics is all about. By the time we proceed to other chapters, we are going to find it more interesting. And like I've said, so the likes of Mr. Joy, so we might take you on some chapters. So we are going to be switching the chapters to ensure that you understand it very well. Then as time goes on, I'm going to be giving you assignments. So just for you to be able to understand it more better. And before, maybe probably in few months before your exam. So we are going to start solving past questions. We definitely be solving past questions too. So we have come to the end of today's chapter. So I will now entertain your own question in case you have any question. Then I also have a question that we are going to solve now. Can you see my screen now? Please confirm that you can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Okay, so what can you see?
I am seeing economic model.
How about
Well,
now?
still the same.
You are still seeing the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. So I want us to quickly look at the question before we end the class now. So confirm that you can see my screen now.
Okay. Yes, I can see your screen. Revision questions.
Okay, so we've come to the end of the class, but before we attempt this revision question, so Clifford, are you with us?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Well, I can see your network. I think your network is fluctuating also.
Yes, I'm having network issues.
Yeah. So though we are actually rounding up the class, but I want us to quickly solve some revision questions. Then you will do me a favor. Are you with me? Nechi and Marvelous, are you with me?
Yes,
Please, I will
Yes.
appreciate before our next class. Please, I want you to download past questions. If you cannot download it, you can let me know. I can download some and I will drop it on our platform so you can download it from there. So maybe I will do that. So I want you to download past questions from 2021, sorry, 2022 till the last diet. Please take note. 2022, that is March diet 2022, September diet 2022. You download it. 2023, the same thing. 2024, the same thing. And last year, the same thing. Please download it. So if you are unable to download it, let me know. So I can download all of them. I will send it to the WhatsApp. So when you download it, then I will tell you what we will be doing with them as time goes on. But just ensure that you download them. So you understand, man. And like I've said again also, there may be time we'll be having class within the week. It will be in the night, but I will communicate that with us before then. Is that clear?
yes,
Okay,
Yes.
so let's quickly move on to our revision question so that we can end the class, so that you can prepare for the next class. So the revision question we have here, so it's just an objective question. So, and in that, in the objective question, as you can see on my screen, so this is the first question. This is the first question. So someone should read the question for us.
economics can best be defined as the study of A, how society resolves the problem of scarcity, B, why productive resources are scarce, C, how to interpret economic theories, D, the features of different types of economic system, E, how the consumers maximize their utility.
Okay, thank you very much, Clifford. So, Nechi, you'll be the one to answer this. So while the next one, you read number two, Clifford will also answer it. So I want us to do this together so that we can end the class, so that I want you people to prepare for your next class before it starts. So question one, so Clifford has read for us. Nechi, so look at the options. See yourself that this is exam question now. So you want to choose an answer in number one. So what will be your answer? And you tell us why, in short.
I'll pick option A, how society resolves the problem of scarcity.
Clifford, do you agree with her?
um how society resolves the problem of, I was actually thinking D.
Okay, you were thinking of D,
um
but do you? She's Nechi is right. So the correct answer is A. She's
okay,
correct.
okay.
So how society resolves. Remember, I told you when we want to start this today's class. If you remember today's class, we started with basic economic problem, and I said and that is why we are studying economics, so that economics can now help us to do what? To do what? How to resolve those economic problems. So before we move to number 2 now, what are the economic problems that we have? Oh yeah, mention one. Nechi, one.
Scarcity.
Scarcity. Scarcity is a concept. Oh, don't mix it together. Don't mix it together. It's a concept. So it is under that scarcity that we now have economic problem. Do you get it now? So what are the basic economic problem?
Okay. What is to be produced?
What is to be produced? Thank you very much. So you've answered it. Clifford, oh yeah, you to mention one. What to produce is the first problem. And what's another problem?
How much to be produced?
How much to be produced? Thank you very much. Oh yeah, mention one again. You two should mention one again. Clifford, another one.
For whom to produce?
For whom to produce? Thank you very much. And the last one, there are four. So what's the last one?
Economic growth and stability.
You said?
Economic growth and stability.
Okay. Neji, do you agree to that?
Somehow.
Somehow, okay. So we are all right. So let's move on to the next question. Yeah, Neji, help us with the second question. Number 2.
The fundamental economic problems facing all societies arise because of A. Availability of unlimited resources. B. The insatiable wants of man. C. Resources being scarce in relation to human wants. D. Government's passive role in the economy. E. Large bureaucratic structures of government.
Okay, thank you. So let's now direct that answer question to Clifford. So let's see if Clifford will get it. Clifford, yeah, what is your option? And what's your answer?
um should I pick C? Resources being scarce in relation to human wants.
Inechi, do you agree to Clifford?
Yes, I agree.
Excellent. So you both got it right. So that is the answer. So let's move on to the next question. Number, oh, there's a mix up here. So number 3. So this is number 3 now. Yeah. Inechi, read.
Okay. Pure capitalism is an economic system characterized by 1. Private ownership of productive resources. 2. Freedom of choice and enterprise. 3. Competition. Options: A. 1 only. B. 2 only. 3. C. 1 and 2 only. D. 3 only. E. 1, 2 and 3.
So, oh yeah, Nechi, you really want to choose answer first. So why Clifford will read the next question. Oh yeah. So what option are you picking as your answer?
Okay, I'll choose C. That's one and two only.
Why? Okay,
Because
because of our time. Clifford,
okay,
what is your answer? Clifford.
Hmm, I think I'm still going to go with the same pick because
Okay.
of private ownership of productive resources, and also they have those private ownership also have freedom of choice and
Okay.
enterprise.
Okay. But you two of you, you tried, but let me ask, why do you think competition is not there? Are you saying there's no competition in capitalism? You remember that then in capitalism there's competition. That is why we have monopoly. Monopoly means we have different people producing similar what products. Do you remember that is one of the features? If you go back, so the correct answer here is option E. Hmm? Is option what?
okay.
Option E. So
E.
it has those three. Those three. It is only when it is socialist that we can now say, okay, there's no competition. So question 4, Clifford.
Which of the following is a statement in positive economics? A. The pump liter price of petrol should be increased. B. The government ought to provide more hospitals. C. Anti-corruption agency is desirable in all developing countries. D. There is high rate of inflation in most West African countries. E. Government should tax the rich more.
Okay. So Clifford, what will you choose as your answer?
Um,
Are you there?
I'll choose D.
Okay. What is D? There is high rate of inflation in most West African countries. Okay, let's go to Unechi. Let me see if she will support you or she has a contrary option. So Unechi, to you. Unechi, are you there?
Yes.
So are you supporting Clifford or you have a contrary opinion?
Yes, I support him.
Okay, so both of you are right. But let me explain. When we talk about positive economy is talking about what ought to be, eh? Based on the current situation, what ought to be. While we also have normative economics. What normative economics is talking about what should be. Talking about what ought to be, while the other one is talking about what should be. So the right answer is D, as you have both picked. So let's go back to the last question. So question 5, we need to read for us.
The, pro- the production possibilities curve be useful cannot be usefully employed to illustrate A. Opportunity cost, B. Economic scarcity, C. Economic growth, D. Unemployment, E. Scale of preference.
So what will you pick as your answer?
E, scale of preference.
Scale of preference. Okay, thank you. So, Clifford, do you agree with her, or you have a contrary option?
Mm, I'm thinking unemployment.
Well, energy is correct. The answer is scale of preference, but I think maybe you lost your network. Then, do you understand what we mean by PPC? Hmm? Energy, do you understand what is PPC?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, quickly brief Clifford so that we can call it a day.
Okay, but he's not in the call right now.
You said?
I think his network, yeah, his network,
Okay, okay. So
it's
I
not on
think
the
maybe
call.
we can call it a day, right? Or
Okay.
do you have any question? So let me, if you have any question, I think we've already come to the end of the class. But well, let's wait a little. Probably he might join back so that he can understand. I think his network is fluctuating. His network is fluctuating.
Yes.
Okay. But from your end, so do you have any question so far? So because I will also implore that at your leisure time, like I said, just try and at least go through the chapter one again. So maybe you might have one or two questions to ask. So I always advise that once you are less busy, even if it is 10 minutes, no matter as small as 10 minutes is, just ensure that you dedicate it to reading on a daily basis so that we are going to be finding it much easier. May God Almighty make it easy for us. So why he is unable to join back, I think we can just call it a day for now. So you are on the platform. So in case you come across any questions, any observation, so don't hesitate to drop it on the group. So I will attend to it. And again, in case you also have colleague, friends, or relatives that want to join us, it's still early now, so they can join us now. And I'm going to be sharing a testimony with you people next week. So probably I might involve one of my students. So currently now he's currently a student of Unilag. So he's a fresh student studying accountancy. So I started handling him. So for his 8 years, just the same way you people are doing now. So as I speak with you now, he'll be writing his ATS3 exam. So by March. So he's a fresh accounting student of University of Lagos. So and even then, I do take him physically. He do come to my home. He's just a young boy. So he never believed he can, but he wrote all the 4 papers in ATS1. He passed everything once. ATS2 last diet, he passed everything once too. So he'll be writing his ATS3. So I want to also be, I will let him share his testimony if it's within 2 or 5 minutes, so that you can see that you too can do it. So if you believe you can, you will. Do you understand? All right.
Yes, yes. Thank
All
you.
right. So, all right. You can. I think we can end the call now. So you
All right.
have a lovely weekend and enjoy your day. Bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
You're welcome.